election, we're going to be aggressively pursuing this with everything that we can. It doesn't, we're going to try and raise as much money as we can, but we are going to need bodies as well. We're going to need people walking the streets with us, canvassing, going door to door. We're going to need people on phone banks, making phone calls and connecting with voters and explaining to them what this actually means for the city. One thing that's important to remember is that, you know, the 18,000 signatures that they turned in for this thing don't mean too very much when you paid your signature gatherers and all they said was, hey, would you like more police and fire? I talk about this thing all the time. You can probably tell. I mean, I'm jabbing here. I have not met, you know, even a fraction of the people that I've spoken to that have not immediately turned around. It's an easy sell because it's so simple. It comes down to basic common sense. 4 months ago, I was on the ground in Afghanistan. I was living there during the deployment. And for every bullet and for every rocket and mortar that I had to deal with, I remember thinking very specifically, God, I wish I had another 1,000 guys standing right behind me right now with loaded rifles pointed at that guy. But no self-respecting commander would ever advocate bringing those 1,000 troops out if it meant that you could no longer feed the 10,000 you already had there. So, we are going to need your help to get that kind of common sense message out. We have a city to run, we have a city to fund, and we are going to need your help to do it. There are petition sign-ups on the back, volunteer sign-ups that are going to be passed out and you all have access to, and you can certainly approach me afterwards. I'd be happy to talk to each and every one of you individually.
How about
Mary made a good point. We are also going to be writing letters together. We're going to be reviewing with the Stars Editorial Board, and we want community involvement at every level here. Whatever community organizations you have access to, if you have access to media outlets, if you have access to the Daily Star, or if you don't, you can still write a letter in there and let them know that you want to keep your city funded, you want your city to be able to pay its basic bills, you don't want to end up on a roadmap straight to Vallejo, California, and you want Prop 200 to go down. So there are any number of ways that you can do this, but it can start for you tonight. Get with me, look at the volunteer sign-ups on the back table over there, and we can start this thing. We can defeat it. It takes your help, it takes all of us doing it at the same time.
Based on the annual report filed with the FBI by the Tucson Police Department, while the population has increased by 60% since 1980, total arrests have decreased by 4%, and arson incidents have decreased by 11%. Question, here's the question. Why is this a consideration at this time? In other words, why is this proposition being considered at this time, and who does it benefit?
I've been asked that question without the details that just came out. Why is it on the ballot? That was the question that was asked to me. I said the reason it's on the ballot is the city charter has a provision for initiative. And it's the two groups that have the money to put it on the ballot. The police organization as well as the firefighters. And they have the money to do this. And you can sit around and talk about it from night to day and all the facts and figures that have been presented here, but that's why it's on the ballot. Because there's a group within each organization, Internal Order Police, and the Firefighters Association, who are demanding that more money, not less money, but more money be put into their salary. That's what it's all about. They have more police officers, more firemen. And as I said before, and everybody else has said, nobody's against having police officers and firemen. But this is just like out of the clear blue sky. And here you have the city council that for many years now has met the needs of the community. The statistics show it, and still it's on the ballot. And it's on the ballot because they could put it on the ballot, because they could get the money and have the money to do it. And that's the reality of this situation.
Chiefs, this one's for you, I believe. Why are the police and fire unions supporting Prop 200? Or anybody else?
I'm not going to pretend to talk for the unions themselves. They speak for what they believe that they want to have. I know that Proposition 200 is not about salaries. It never was about salaries. They believe, and this is just my paraphrasing because I'm not speaking for them, they believe they want to know that public safety will be the #1 mandate in the city, which I believe the mayor and council have made it that. However, at least my talking with my union president is the fact that they want that to be in stone, where that it is not something that could go away next year depending on who's elected. So I think that's at least what I got from them. I can't speak for them because I don't know why they went behind that when it was brought to them. But, you know, that was what was relayed to me. So, you know, you have to get them up here. You know, like I said, I think you need to be informed on both sides of this. If they have an opening, show up at their meeting and ask them that question, why they would do that, so that you're informed on both sides. And then, like we said, whatever this ballot does, it's what the citizens of this community want. Is it going to be pretty? I think it's going to be a fight down to the end for both sides. Villasenor and myself, we will mandate, we will take care of our departments no matter what the issue comes out. It's what do the citizens want, it's not what we want.
I concur with what Chief Kelly said, and I've had many conversations with the president of the Tucson Police Officers Association, and that's the organization that is supporting this initiative, not the FOP. And I also would say that the driving force behind this has not been for an increase in salary. I have brought the point up directly to the union president saying, you know, I don't know where this money's going to come from. And one of the alternatives that I see coming out of this, if it passes, is I see you basically freezing your salaries for several years in order to fund this. So I don't know if this would really fall into that line of reasoning that it's for increasing their salary. The position that he comes back and saying that this is probably a way, like Chief Kelly said, to ensure public safety there. But the union really needs to answer that question, and I agree with Chief Kelly to do whatever the citizens, the voters, tell us to do.
Chief Kelly, I'm sorry you didn't see this one while you're here. Are the standards of NFPA 1710 regionalized or given from the state? And the other question was, where do we stand, which you already addressed?
NFPA, like I said, is not a governmental agency. It's a committee made up of professionals throughout the fire service, engineering, building, construction service. They come up with standards that guide the fire service, everything from health and safety to apparatus placement to how we build fire apparatus, fire stations, and staffing. So it's not a mandate from the state, it's not a mandate from the federal government. It's a standard that has been developed, it's been adopted by the NFPA. I know the fire department in Tucson and throughout the country, we follow many, if not all, of their standards. Now, do we follow them 100%? No, because it's very expensive, but it is a guideline to show us what is the right thing to do and what isn't the right thing to do. So this is not a regional, this is a mandate where it's a standard that's out there that any community can either adopt, not adopt, or look at making their fire department strive to meet them. Right now it's on the ballot to adopt it as its whole. I can't say that I know of more than maybe one community in the country that's adopted it as its whole. But there are many, many, many communities that use it as a guideline. This would just adopt it as a whole if that's the citizens want it. So that's the difference.
The question is, what's the current ratio of fire officers to civilians in the population?
We don't judge. We don't keep those statistics of firefighters. We have 674 firefighters in this community. We have 735 people in the department. We have about 60-some civilians that work on administrative work, public education, and other things. So you can do the math, 500,000 and divide 675 and do it, and it gives you about the round number. But ours is more on response times, not on the number of people. So our standard is on response times and staffing to get to your incident to keep it at the least